Aquarius, hello, Amanda here. Welcome to the Unseen Hands Collective. This is going to be your March shift tarot reading. We're looking at the shape you're shifting out of this month, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shape shift looks and feels like. Aquarius, as I was sitting with your energy, the image came to me of you dangling on the last tree limb, looking down at the ground, not wanting to drop. You know, it's like you got yourself really high up in a tree and then finally you were able to slowly climb down from that dangerous height. And now you're at the final release point, the final letting go to be able to land on the ground. And you're scared. Or you're hesitating, or like something. Yeah, this is interesting. There's a real energy in this reading of you've gotten yourself in a bind. I'm going to show you what I mean. Similar to the Libra reading, actually, your shift is not linear. It's not like a clear, usually I'm like, here's the shape you're shifting out of, here's the shape you're shifting into, and what it looks like. That's not happening for y'all, you and Libra. There's more of like a central energy or a central situation that you are having to navigate different sides of yourself around. Well, let me show you what I mean. So this energy says, oh, that gnome. And it seems to me like this is a pickle that you find yourself in. You know, you're finding yourself in some sort of situation where you're like, ah, shoot. You know, like, dang it, I did it again. That's the energy of it, is like, dang, I did it again. Or like, oh man, I've been here before. Or like, okay, you know, it's this energy I felt of like you got yourself up in a tree and now you got to climb your way down, and getting up is one thing and getting down is a whole other terrifying, delicate extraction process. And it sort of feels like you're at a moment where it's like, dang, I did it to myself again. And it's like you're split between, over here we have Penelope the Dreamweaver and Unity. There's some sort of like idealized dream. It's like caught between dream, fantasy, imagined connections, and reality. And reality is more like how this actually feels. You know, it's one thing to imagine doing something and it's another thing to actually do it. And it's sort of like, now that you're actually doing it, or like, you know, since you're dangling and looking at the ground, you're close to doing it. How does this actually feel? You know, like, is this actually right for you? You're faced with the human experience of it versus the fantasy dream ideal of it, the idea of it. This is very much a similar energy that came through Libra, because y'all are air signs, you know, you think things up, you dream things up, your imaginations and intellectual capacity is so great that you are living in that space a lot. And so Aquarius, you may now be finding yourself, you know, this is an earthy energy, especially compared with Dreamland over here. I mean, look at the difference in the art on the cards. Here we have you in Dreamland, where you imagine something as one thing, you know, and maybe it has to do with connection and relationship, just because we have the Unity card here. You're imagining what something is going to be like versus like the actual reality, earthly, human, messy experience of it. You know, it's different. You run into snafus. You encounter things that are not part of this perfect picture or this perfect dream imagining of it, and it's tricky, you know. And it's like every time you run up against something like that is a chance for you to be honest. Over here we have honesty and solace. Solace is the sun. Solace is the self, Aquarius. This is you. This is about being honest with yourself so that you can be honest with others about how this feels in reality, whatever this is for you, the situation that you found yourself in. There's a real energy of like, how, there's a question for me, like, how'd you get yourself up in that tree to begin with, Aquarius? And I think it has to do with honesty and authenticity. Maybe you got yourself up in that tree to begin with by not being completely honest. I get a really strong energy of withholding from these cards, like holding back certain bits of information or like curating what you say and when you say it and how you say it to such a degree that you might not even realize that you're actually withholding truth. You're withholding being as honest as you could be, which then you end up making decisions with others and like weaving a life for yourself based on subtle dishonesties or like subtle withholding of full truth. And it's likely that you're withholding the full truth from yourself. It's not likely you're intentionally being dishonest. It's probable that you are withholding the full truth even from yourself. And therefore weaving lives, and maybe this is a pattern for you of like creating a life based on subtle withholding of truth or like subtle dishonesty, or weaving a life that is not fully authentically your truth or right for you. And then you end up at the top of the tree going, oh crap, how am I going to get down? How am I going to get down from this? And so to avoid putting yourself in those binds and very likely putting other people in those binds with you, there's a need to be fully and totally honest with yourself. So that, because, Aquarius, in your readings, there's been this energy of like, okay, last month's reading, I think it was February, or maybe it was January. No, February. You've completely opened up your life. Completely. Everything is like wide open to you, which means it's pure potential. You could create anything out of this. You could make whatever life you want, which can be overwhelming and daunting, even though very freeing, also really overwhelming and scary. It is really important at this juncture, Aquarius, that whatever you build from here is totally true to you, or else you're going to build yourself another life or another situation that is not authentic, and you're gonna have to do it again. You're gonna have to extract yourself and do the whole thing, and maybe other people get hurt. It's like this whole thing that is totally preventable. Not easy to see and work through, but totally preventable, and you have to be willing to risk that honesty. I mean, this honesty card looks really scared. This being is shaken in their boots, deer in headlights, like brimming with tears, like, oh God, I have to say this thing, and it feels really scary. But you have to, Aquarius. If that's resonating for you, it's like you have to say it so that you can weave the dream that is actually unified with you, that is actually right for you, and therefore will be right for others as well. Rather than like creating a version of your life you think you should want or you think you should create. No way. Wow. Okay, Aquarius, we're going to dive deeper into this energy now in an extended reading. I'm going to pull some other cards, see what we can get out of this reading for you. And if this is resonating so far and you'd like to join me for that, click the link in the description below. That will take you to unseenhandscollective.com. You can access your extended reading in the shop and also through our monthly memberships. Now listen, this is only 1/3 of your monthly shift materials for March. This is just the tarot portion. You also have an astrology scope to loop in the planetary influences that you may experience this month, and then also a guidebook to help you more personally work through your own shift process in March. So go check those out again, unseenhandscollective.com, and I'll put a little preview of those things at the end of this reading so that you can check those out before you purchase. All right, Aquarius, thanks for being here. Take care. This is why this reading is so important at this time, because you're planting seeds for a longer term right now. And it's like, make sure that your inner truth is aligned with what is coming out of your mouth. I see this combo as total transparency with self and others. That there's not like one thing happening inside you over here and then a version of that you offer to others or say or communicate to others. It's like that there can't be a gap. Yeah, I feel that pretty intensely. It's like if there is a gap between how you are feeling and your internal truths versus what you are saying to others, the cycle repeats. If you want to build, practically, physically create this dream, weave this dream that is totally unified with self and others in the way that's right for you, this like mashup of security and freedom, you could see that as like the two weaving together into this expansive life. It's like, if you want to do that, there has to be this flow, clear, transparent, direct clarity between your inside, what happens inside of you, and what you tell others and what you project outward.
House of our conscious self. Okay, that identity kind of energy, okay? How we consciously identify, what our consciousness is calling. It's the house of generation, okay? What we generate based on who we are. And the month of March, because we have Mars moving into Gemini and activating the North Node, what it's doing is it's sparking a new lesson for us, because we've been over, like, since the nodes got into Gemini Sagittarius last year in May, we've been on this journey of like recognizing who we actually are